Hello, awesome people. I hope you're having a great day today. Today we're taking a look at Edith Nesbit's Man-Size in Marble. It's about 22 pages long in this collection of ghost stories that we've been taking a look at. Midnight Fright for you folks. It was published in the 1800s. It was self-published in a horror collection for adults. She was famous as a children's author, and she wrote a lot of children's novels, and I knocked out one recently called The Enchanted Castle, which I've reviewed for you folks, and this is one of her classic horror works. It's definitely a classic. I love it a lot. So we're going to be doing my review of it. I got this collection of horror stuff when I was in junior high from a secondhand from one of my relatives for Christmas, and I read it. Then I knocked out this collection again. It's got 5 short stories in it. I knocked it out again a couple of years later in high school, and then I haven't gone back and reread it since. One of the short stories in here, The Horla by Guy de Maupassant, is my favorite short story in here, and I've already gone back and reread that one a third time. And then I reviewed it for you folks a couple of years ago on this channel. So now we're going back and reading the other 4 short stories in it. Man-Size in Marble by Edith Nesbit is amazing in here. It's definitely something that sticks with you. It's very, very strong, and I'm going to be giving it an 8+, like an 8.2 or an 8.3 that I'm rounding down to an 8. It's very strong. I knocked it out last night again for the 3rd time in about a half an hour. The first short story in this collection is Charles Dickens's The Signalman, which has been regularly, which I just reviewed for you folks and have just published that for you folks. Man-Size in Marble was the first Edith Nesbit thing I had ever read. I liked it a lot, and I enjoyed it. And then I've read a couple of her short stories recently in a couple of horror collections that reminded me of how good she was. So I then picked up The Enchanted Castle, a children's novel, which I read and reviewed for you folks, and I didn't like it that much. I thought it was fine. But I'm not going to be going back and picking up any more of her children's works. My major issue with it is that it didn't have like chapters and page separations and so forth. It was just one big giant thing for you folks. I'll try to find this for you online because it's such a classic horror short story. It's been regularly repeated by her. I'm sure that'll be out there. And if you folks remember many of my things, I don't regularly give out 8s, right? Or 9s or 10s. I really only give them out to things that really, really deserve them as a reminder, because it's hard for a story to be an 8 or 9 or 10. This one is. And so it's definitely a lot of fun stuff happens in it. And so far, having gone and read a couple of other things, and then the novel too. So now I've read 3 of her horror short stories, including 2 that I've already reviewed for you folks, and the novel. This is my favorite one still. It's very, very strong. It's well written. It's got a lot of fun stuff. It's got a nice twist ending, and I definitely enjoy it. And it's definitely a fun horror short story with some gothic feels to it. As a reminder, before I begin my review, I give my reviews spoiler free, so you're not going to get a deep dive into like the review, because a lot of you folks are going to remember kind of, you know. For a lot of you folks, this might be the first time you ever heard of Man-Size in Marble by Edith Nesbit, or the first time you ever heard of Edith Nesbit. It was a big name during her time, but probably hasn't stood the test of time, although her stuff's really strong, like I hoped that you would. So anyway, so let's go ahead and take a look at this horror short story for you folks. So what happens in this horror short story is that our point of view characters are going to be a married couple. You don't have any kids, and they're both artists. And she is a sketch artist, and he's a painter. So they're both artists, and they share art as a passion, folks. And they are searching for a great mansion out in the countryside that meets a lot of the things, like a little cottage, cute little cottage out in the countryside that meets a lot of the requirements that they're looking for. It's not run down or rat infested and so forth. And so they're searching for a house for a while, and then they finally find this house. And the house is going to be sort of like is definitely going to be a cool thing, since it's going to be surrounded by some scary things. Then they're going to find out more and more about what's happening. So about 3 or 4 pages into this 22-page short story, they're going to have found their cottage. They're going to move it in to their countryside cottage. They're going to have an innkeeper. Not an innkeeper, housekeeper rather, who they hire is also going to be a key character in the story too. And it's going to be their main introduction into all the things that are happening and all the spooks and the scares of this town. So they're going to be, should still be a key point of view character, but the couple are your key point of view characters. Neither one is the main character. Both of them have scenes where they're the main characters. So the main characters are these married couples that don't have any children, that are mutual artists, ones that one a painter and the other a sketcher. So there you are. That's our key short story for you folks, Man Size in Marble. Again, it took me about half an hour for me to read. I'll try to find it for you online. I'll also try to find you a linked version as well. I just purchased an Edith Nesbit horror collection that was published a few years ago. That was edited by St. Josie. I haven't gotten it yet from Amazon, so if I can't find this, I'll just link you to that. It hasn't arrived yet, but I do like the idea of doing a deep dive in her stuff as well as the free version. Should be able to find because her stuff is just so good and oftentimes pretty much misforgotten. As a reminder, this channel's name, The Worst Thing About New Books, is a quote by a French philosopher named Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about new books was that they kept us reading the old books. And an 1800s horror short story that's a classic like this is definitely something that we should be reading more, right? So I definitely, this is definitely key parts of this channel. So there you go. I'll go ahead and leave you to it. Have you read Man Size in Marble? If so, what you think about it? Did you agree or disagree with my 8+? If so, I'd be happy to talk with you about it further, or we'll talk about spoilers or the ending. Let's do it. If you enjoyed this video, why not hit that subscribe button? There's going to be a lot more of these to follow. And then finally, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video. We all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.